So there's a lot of shit happening over the Supreme Court. People are losing their shit again. Donald Trump steals people's critical thinking skills. Kamala Harris tweeted this about it. She said the fight over the Supreme Court vacancy is going to require each and every one of us talking with our friends, families, and neighbors about the importance of the court and the lasting impact its decisions can have on our fundamental rights. I'm ready to fight. Are you? Really? She's ready to fight. I guess that's why she didn't prosecute Steve Mnuchin, because she was so ready to fight. And then Peter Douche, I love Peter Douche, he tweeted out, what are the odds the Democratic leadership will effective enough to stop Trump's Supreme Court pick? And it says 0 or 0.0. This is what the Democrats do. They'll talk all this big resistance game on Twitter and all that shit, and they won't do fucking anything. I remember Dianne Feinstein, right, during the confirmation of Mike Pompeo, her Twitter feed, all caps, resist, we don't support torture, we don't know Mr. Trump, no. She fucking voted for Mike Pompeo, who's a goddamn torturer. Shut the fuck up, Kamala Harris. You let Steve Mnuchin take my fucking house in California, go fuck your neoliberal bullshit. They wait till the fucking Republicans get in power and then they resist and they say there's nothing we can do. They had control of everything, and that's when they do goddamn nothing. Graham, I agree with you. Please don't try to get bigger responses from the crowd than I get. I would appreciate that. My family's here, and it's embarrassing. I have word that John Cusack is in the crowd somewhere. Johnny the Coup. Johnny Q. Chucky the Shoom, he says this. Chuck Schumer warns Senate Democrats fight Brett Kavanaugh or pay the price from the base. Double CK. And guess what they say to him? Red state Democrats tell Schumer to kiss my fucking ass on the Supreme Court vote. Democrats, resistance! And so he's not going to whip the votes. So what that means is he's not going to make Joe Manchin vote in solidarity against it. He's not going to make Kirsten Jervin or all the people, Heidi Heitkamp or Claire McCaskill. He's not going to whip their votes. Meaning you have to vote the way I say on this. He's not going to do that. Why? Because Chuck in the Shoe is a fucking tool, and he's a liar, and he's an enemy of you. That's He's also received the most money of any politician in either party from Goldman Sachs. That's right, boo. Hey, wait, Goldman Sachs is out there helping people, you guys. So people are, again, scapegoating progressives and other people for the Supreme Court. Here's an Amberlyn Tamberlin. You know who that is? She's famous, right? You know? She's an actress, I know. She's got a blue check. Don't tell me she's not important. She says liberals who wouldn't vote for Hillary, with this new Supreme Court justice being appointed by this administration, we could see the end of many things you thought you were protecting in making such a choice. The irony stings, the nightmare belongs to the right, but also to you. I love how she says this nightmare belongs to the right, but also to you. It's not as bad as the nightmare of actually setting foot in Pennsylvania or Michigan, is it? Ooh. Imagine having to fucking meet actual people. Hey, what a nightmare. You know, we could see the end of many things you thought you were protecting when you chose a Wall Street puppet during an anti-establishment tidal wave. We could see the end of many things you thought were you protecting when your president put journalists in jail, became a war criminal, and left the DNC bankrupt. But, you know, Susan Sarandon, am I right? And then look at this. I feel a series of rage tweets coming on, trying to control myself. Must not at Susan Sarandon. And then Deborah Messing, why not? And Kathy Griffin, this is so juicy. That's known as the world's shittiest three-way, ladies and gentlemen. And here's here's Conan O'Brien's sidekick, Andy Richter. You didn't vote for the Democratic candidate because they weren't progressive enough for you. You didn't vote for the Democratic candidate because you thought it made no difference. You didn't vote for the Democratic candidate because you thought it was safe to. Please don't do that again. And I said it's nothing more than voter shaming. It's blaming the powerless, try blaming the powerful who propped up Trump. You know, the Clinton campaign and the media who created him, or call out the corrupt system that cheated the guy who actually inspired voters. And then I tweeted this and I go, here's a profile of minorities who voted twice for Obama and were so let down that half didn't bother to vote and the other half voted but not for Clinton. Try getting out of your neoliberal bubble populated by millionaires and listen to voters. And I think that made a difference because Andy Richter, who I think is a decent guy, actually tweeted this. I said, I need to apologize for this tweet. I was bummed by the Kennedy announcement, and I said something snotty and unhelpful that rightly angered a lot of people with whom I overwhelmingly agree. I deleted it, and I'm sorry for picking a fight with Trump. Boy, you were bummed by, he was bummed by the Kennedy announcement. Really? I was bummed when my president, Obama, gave a blowjob to Wall Street and then fucking took 2 wars to 7. That's what fucking bummed me out. I was bummed when Obama opened the Arctic to drilling twice. That's what bummed me out. I was bummed out when Barack Obama repealed habeas fucking corpus. That's what bummed me out. I don't know. I'm funny. I was bummed at being one of the 5.2 million people that had his house foreclosed on because Obama bailed out the fucking banks. I was bummed at that. My house would be worth $1.5 million right now. I was bummed out at that. I was bummed out at the war in Yemen. I'm bummed out today at the 120 kids that die every fucking day as a result of the war in Yemen that Obama fucking started. I'm bummed out at that. This is the last time I'm going to tell you. So then somebody tweeted at Andy Richter after he apologized, said, and you did not need to apologize at all. Jimmy Dore knew how important the Supreme Court was going to be, but turned on the Democratic Party for the independent Bernie. Then when Bernie lost, he continued to berate the only hope we real Americans had to stave off fascism and Republican rule. I am very fucking powerful. And what I tell those people is, you're right, I did swing the election, and if you're not nicer to me, I'll goddamn do it again. Until things get shitty enough, you're ready to actually let a progressive win the Democratic primary or become president, then I'm going to keep fucking throwing these things. Here's another guy. Since the Supreme Court news, not one of these mealy-mouthed pieces of shit have had anything useful to say about it. Cenk Uygur, Kyle Kulinski, Jimmy Dore, they were all complicit and cynical enough to get us here. Now they're too cowardly to admit they used bad strategy in 2016. You know who used bad strategy? Maybe Hillary Clinton when she told her fucking minions in the press to prop up Donald Trump with the Pied Piper series. That's maybe who had bad strategy. Maybe campaigning in Texas and Arizona instead of Michigan and Wisconsin was bad fucking strategy. Maybe picking a vice president who was to the right of Attila the Hun instead of Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders, which would have guaranteed you the fucking presidency. Maybe that was bad strategy. And don't ever forget, the responsibility to win elections rests with the candidate, the paid campaign staff, and the party. When they lose, the fault is theirs. It's understandable, I guess, why they are desperate to frantically blame others for their own failings, but it's amazing how many go along. And my favorite of all of these was this guy, Jason Carney. He goes, hey, it's all our faults. I mean, all we wanted was a people-centric candidate that had a fair shake at actually changing the country for everyone, someone who realized there are massive inequities across the board. Where do I go to get punished now? If you want to blame somebody, here's
It does beg the question, how is it that these Russian operatives knew to focus on purple states like Michigan and Wisconsin, and your campaign didn't?
Obviously, Putin knows America better than John Podesta. And then if you want to see the voter shaming to end all voter shaming, here's Neera Tanden. You know who she is, right? She says, actually, it was the communists not aligning with the centrists. That is how Hitler got to power. And then the communists were the first to be politically assassinated. Holy fuck. Neera Tanden literally blaming the victim of Hitler's violence for Hitler. That is awesome. What's that?
That totally makes sense.
That totally doesn't make sense. So here is Neera. I have a few of these. Here is Neera Tanden on why Jesus Christ was crucified. Because Judas voted for Jill Stein. That's why.
No, it's true.
It's true.
True. Yeah. Here's Neera Tanden explaining the Civil War. You want to hear that, Greg?
Yes, I do.
The socialists just wouldn't get on board with Lincoln because he wasn't progressive enough. Here's Neera Tanden. But by the way, you should look out for Neera Tanden's new book, The Paid For History of the World. Here's Neera Tanden. How she explains the Revolutionary War. She says, if the fringes would have gotten on board with King George III, we would have never... Anyway. I screwed you up. But it's still kind of funny. It is still kind of funny. Here's Neera Tanden on baseball. If the Yankees don't go all the way this year, it's because the Bernie Bros stayed home on game day. So I think the real reason that we have shitty Supreme Court, maybe Chuck Schumer is going to tell us right here. Talk about
for every blue-collar Democrat we will lose in Western PA, we will pick up 2-3 moderate Republicans in the suburbs of Philadelphia. And you can repeat that in Ohio, in Wisconsin.
Hey, how'd that work out for you, Chucky the Shoe? Ladies. You do this? All I know is when I do this, all you hear is panties hit the floor. If you want to know the real problem, here is Dylan Ratigan. Dylan Ratigan, if you don't know him, he used to have a show on MSNBC, and one time he told the truth about the banks, and so now they don't let him do his news show anymore, and now he has to do news reports from the dentist office.
The Democrats want you to believe that their party is, of course, wonderful and fabulous and wants to help save the world and all the rest of us. And they want you to believe that the only problem with the American political system is the Republicans, and more importantly, the corruption of the American political system and the Republicans by the Russians. This, of course, would be the most horrible thing that could come from the current political situation. Because if we allow the Democratic Party to convince anybody, ridiculous they've even convinced themselves, that the primary issue with the American political process is Donald Trump and the Republicans, that validates their capacity to sustain themselves in a disgusting and corrupt fashion. The reality is, the only reason we have Donald Trump as our president and these horrendous Republicans is because of the unadulterated failure and corruption in the Democratic Party. Think about how bad, how unappealing, how offensive Barack Obama and ultimately Hillary Clinton had to be to the American population in order for them to even remotely begin to choose someone like Donald Trump as a better alternative. Think about how bad people have to view the level of corruption in the Democratic Party to think of Donald Trump as a remotely preferable alternative. Donald Trump is terrible. The Republicans are offensive beyond comprehension. But the solution is not the Democrats. The solution is a final terminal bypass of these two utterly corrupt political parties.
You guys really want a third party, right? Yeah, what the fuck, right? It's time, right? You guys want Bernie to start it, right? I don't. That's why I want him on the goddamn show. But here, you want to know who to get mad at about the Supreme Court? The Democrats regret not fighting harder for Obama's Supreme Court pick. Really? You think you mean fighting harder? You mean like fighting at all? Because you didn't fucking do anything. Maybe you should have nominated a more uninspiring fucking choice, more of a centrist, middle-of-the-road dick that nobody wanted to fight for. But if you would have nominated maybe Cornel West or somebody like that, maybe people would have. Why is it the right wing gets to have cretins like Antonin Scalia, and all we get is nothing? We get fucking nothing. We get Merrick Garland. We get centrists. I want Medea Benjamin on the fucking Supreme Court. I want Cornel West on the Supreme Court. I want to be in the Supreme Court. I would fuck that place up. I'd be asking a lot of questions and shit. I'm going to take Judge Thomas's time. He's giving it to me. So here is the Huffington Post article. It says, "We should have shut down the Senate," said Senator Brian Schultz, a Democrat, said Tuesday. "We made a calculation that we were going to win in 2016 and election and confirm a nominee. It didn't work out." No shit. So I don't know, when I read that, doesn't it make you fucking more even angrier at the Democrats? Doesn't it make you even angrier at those assholes who try to shame progressives for not supporting fucking bullshit? Hey, why don't you support the people who don't fight for the shit they're supposed to fucking fight for? Why don't you vote for them harder? Here's another one. "Hindsight is 2020, said Senator Martin Heinrich, a Democrat from New Mexico. "I think I would have liked us to take an even harder line." You didn't even take a line. You took a squiggly parenthesis. Fucking nothing. They did nothing. They did nothing. They got back nothing. And then they act like, boy, we should have done part of nothing. Like they just. We should have did nothing harder. Yeah. Instead of 100% of nothing, we should have probably done about 9% of nothing. That would have really helped to turn the fucking tables. The issue was, frankly, with Garland himself. He was too moderate and too boring for some, and he didn't excite progressives. There were options to pick someone that the base would have been mobilized to support because of who they were and what they represented for the court, said Heidi Huss, a co-director of the progressive group Credo Action. Garland felt like a pick to play chess with Republicans, and it didn't work because they don't play respectability and civility. Obviously, this man is qualified, so we're not going to block him. That's never going to happen. But the Democrats were hoping. Chris Kane, who worked in Obama's White House for 6 years and played a central role in getting his judicial nominee confirmed, said there's no question Democrats could have done more to push Garland's nomination through, even if they had limited options in the minority. Yeah? Then why doesn't anybody ever fucking say that in public? And why is it I have to search for on the Huffington Post to find these guys? No one ever hears this shit. Ever! Ever! Why doesn't Andy Richter fucking, hey Andy, if you're really sorry, why don't you tweet at the fucking Democratic Party? Why don't you get pissed off at them? If you're really sorry, why don't you fucking hold the people responsible? Fucking responsible! That's what I ask. Thanks for watching. Please make sure you're subscribed, even if you think you are. You're probably not. It only takes a second to check, and then you have to ring that bell. So they send you a notification when we drop a new video. Otherwise, they won't tell you when we drop new videos. And if you like our show, please help support it. Become a patron. We give you hours of bonus material every week, and we give a live stream. We do a live stream every Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific time when you can ask us questions. We answer them back. Thanks for your support.